Donald Trump gets booed at a stadium on Sunday. He wants to name a stadium after himself. Welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sam Bushman. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use starts now. This is the broadcast for November the 11th in the year of our Lord 2025, promoting God, family, country, protecting life, liberty, and property, doing so in the traditions of our founding fathers on your radio and TV, and best of all, restoring the republic. If it's Jesus revolution, a peaceful revolution, we're in. Standard revolution, most of the time the world history shows it's a failure, so we're out. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I do have good news to start out, though. The best news of all is that it's Veterans Day, isn't it? I think so. Kind of weird. I usually think those things are on Mondays or Fridays or whatever, but Tuesday, Veterans Day. Anyway, happy Veterans Day to all of you. And a prayer goes out to all those who have served and all those who will serve in the military. We're grateful for your service. Nevertheless, even though you feel betrayed 9 times out of 10 by your government when you go to war, we're still grateful for your service, and it's not your fault. Welcome to the show. The good Sheriff Richard Mack with me, CSPOA.org. That's the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, creating partnerships for the American people and sheriffs to stand for the rule of law in America today. Sheriff, welcome back, sir.
Well, thanks a lot, Sam. It's great to be with you this beautiful Tuesday, Veterans Day morning. And I was going to mention Veterans Day also. My uncle served in World War II. My dad served in World War II. And do you want to know what my dad was in World War II?
A pilot?
He was in well, that's close. He worked for the Army Air Corps.
All right.
But he was the best typist the Army had anywhere, and so the entire time during World War II, he served in the office because he was the best typist, and so as soon as he got home, he went to school to go to the FBI, and then he totally served the federal government for about 35 years, and as soon as he retired, about a year and a half later, the IRS audited him, and his view of the government changed immensely because he saw how dishonest they were. And I will echo what you said earlier. President Trump, please abolish the Federal Reserve and its collection agency, the IRS. And Sam, the bottom line with that is freedom and the IRS cannot coexist. And the bottom line of that is freedom has been the victim of the IRS.
Well, I don't really understand all this. There's so much in the news that goes on. It's so hard to know how to track this. You know, people are mixed on President Trump and what he's been doing. There's a lot that he does that I really, really appreciate and really am grateful for. There's a lot that he does that gives rise for concern, to say the least. And part of the problem that I have with President Trump is it seems like everything is about Donald. I mean, you can't even go to a Charlie Kirk funeral without Donald just turning it into political prose, touting himself. And at some point, it's like, stop. We don't have a king. We don't have a monarch. You're a president, which means you're the servant of all of us. You know, just imagine if President Trump got up and said, I'm grateful to be your servant. I'm the servant of every one of you. I'm kind of the lowest servant. I'll do my very best for you that I get. Just imagine a speech like that. You're not going to get it. He actually went to a football game on Sunday. Donald Trump got booed and cheered, but the boos were about twice the cheers at Commanders Lions game. Okay, there's a video that we can watch about it in just a second. Donald performed what they call an enlistment ceremony. I guess it's for new members of the military. He did that when there was a pause in the game. He read from a black binder, speaking into a microphone. He could barely be heard because of the, boos and all that kind of stuff. Of course, House Speaker Mike Johnson, instead of being in Congress doing the people's work, he was hanging out at the game on Sunday right on Donald's coattails. And Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was there, too. The president was booed literally nonstop for over 2 minutes. Watch this, then we'll talk about it.
Please raise your right hands. I, and state your name,
All right, let's go ahead and cut it.
the Constitution,
That's what you see, ladies and gentlemen. It goes on for 2.5 minutes. He tries to read. It's hard to hear him. He pauses. It's just horrible. And this is what I mean. Everything does not have to be about Donald. I don't want to hear about the military going to unconstitutional foreign wars all across the land. I don't want to hear about the military not getting pay while Donald and Michael hang out at a football game. And then it gets worse because then Donald Trump, he promotes his role in building the Commander's new stadium, which he wants named after him. You think we ought to name the stadium after him? I don't know what the president would have a role in building the stadium for in the first place, but then it's all about the Donald, and we're going to name the stadium after him. So it's like Donald Trump's. I think we ought to just name this instead of Liberty Roundtable. I think we ought to just call it Trump on Air. You know, Trump takes to the airwaves, and we just name everything. I changed my name to Sam Trump, and you could change your name to Sheriff Trump. And what do you think? Everything should just be Trump. I know it sounds absurd, but isn't that what it kind of seems to be? When is it not about Donald? Can we have anything not about Donald? It's just weird to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I gotta just name all your children Donald.
Well, George Foreman named every one of his sons George.
I know.
They were all George.
And it was crazy ego at the center of that too.
I don't know.
That is my quintessential point.
I don't know why George did it. I never got to ask him why, but those kind of things happen. George became a pastor, and I thought he was a still pretty humble guy. So I don't know why he named all his sons George, but anyway,
we're talking about the president of the United States who swore an oath to the supreme law of the land, who's been literally starting to violate it at every turn.
He was just quoting his oath. I think that's great that he was quoting his oath.
He's getting booed because he doesn't obey his oath. He's quoting it, but he doesn't obey it. See, that's the problem. Let's just start with taking out all these drug boats or whatever.
Those people in that stadium don't know that politicians don't keep their oath. They have no clue whatsoever about that.
They just know that they have seen in the news about Donald Trump being a kingmaker, and they're booing him for it, right?
Well, that's a leftist talking point that I will not join in on.
What's the leftist talking point?
He's not. If he was a king, he would not be allowing those protests against his kingship. And I think it's really hypocritical and ironic that they're saying we're marching against the king and about king makers, and he's allowing them to do it. So
yeah,
I mean
that is ironic. I don't know if he's allowing him to do it or if he's been shut down by the courts too many times to stop them. At this point, I'm not quite sure.
No, that's it. Of course, he's not allowing them. He didn't care if they did it one way or the other. But no, I think it's gone too far. And this is what I would respond about the booing. People have a short memory because just a year ago, they were under the presidency of Joe Biden, who is probably the worst president in history. And I agree with President Trump on that. What he did to this country and what he did to the safety and security and sovereignty of this nation will take decades to repair.
Let's talk about, you're right about Joe Biden and his abuse of the country, but let's talk about what Trump's doing right now, though, around the world. He's bombing countries. He's literally attacking and sinking boats in foreign waters without any congressional authority.
All right. And
he doesn't have authority to do that. It's war crimes.
First of all, if they're designated as terrorists, and they're sending in
there's no such thing in the Constitution as a terrorist. That's a way to circumvent the Constitution. Let's come back and talk about it. Because the Constitution lays out who's responsible for these things. It's Congress for mark and reprisal and declarations of war and funding such actions. The president's acting without Congress. They're sitting at home twiddling their thumbs. Hang tight. Sheriff Mack and yours truly.